Artificial intelligence is changing everything. I'm on a journey to use AI to simplify my life. You're welcome to join me as I explore, experiment, and share everything I learn. Quick disclaimer, this series is more for me than it is for you. I offer no guarantee that this will be either entertaining or informative. With that, let's look at this next topic.
Welcome back. For this next unit, we delved into AI use cases, or at least we tried to get the AI to help us delve into AI use cases. Let's see how it actually did with the readings. So this unit's readings were generated in pretty much the same way as the first unit. I will be changing that for unit 3. But for this unit, I just asked for 2 research articles, 2 news articles, and a video for all of them at the same time. Next week, of course, or next readings, of course, I will delve a little bit deeper into getting a better set of readings. But let's evaluate how Professor Gemini did this week at assigning research articles. So the first section is content creation, and this first article is a research article. Good job, Professor Gemini. You can see that there are 2 individuals. It is in an international journal for multidisciplinary research. So it did pull in a research article. Reading through this, the biggest takeaway as far as the content of the article, for me, was section 6 and 7. So, of course, the challenges and considerations in AI-powered content creation. Ensuring quality and accuracy. This is a big point, as we've seen in the last week's readings. It's another big point in this week's readings, that a lot of AI-generated content is not necessarily reliable. As I mentioned in the first unit's readings, the AI models are intended as a predictive model and not an accuracy model necessarily. So they optimize for predictability. Yeah. They optimize for predicting what somebody might say in response to the question. They are not optimized for getting you the right answer. So you always need to ensure quality and accuracy. Don't sign off on anything, or don't send AI generated content without signing off on it first. Addressing bias in AI algorithms, bad data, bad outputs, essentially is how that works. Balancing automation and human creativity. A lot of AI generated stuff is AI generated, and there's that creativity that isn't there. Of course, with my works, I don't think the AI is going to replace it because the AI would do better than I would. So, anyways, data privacy and security. This concept did not really come up in the last unit. It's a big topic in this unit. A lot of the AI content creation tools, and more than just the content creation tools, aren't great at securing the data that you put in there. So you always need to make sure you're not putting like personally identifiable information. If you're responsible for a group of people and you have access to their phone numbers, their emails, etc., always be careful about putting that through one of the models that we have. Ethical use of AI content. Of course, plagiarism is huge, right? If the AI is trained on somebody's output, on somebody's artistic creativity, etc., they won't be paid, really. So you always need to make sure that you are using AI ethically. And of course, there's the fake news, deepfakes, and deceptive content as well that you want to stay away from and be aware of. Training and education for content creators. This is more kind of practical. Make sure that the content creators know what they're doing. So if you're a content creator, know what you're doing with AI. Cost considerations. This is another consideration, another challenge that wasn't really brought up in the last unit, was the cost of the content creation tools. They're very useful, but also can be costly. Of course, the future, AI is going to get better, and the way that it will help with content creation will also get better, as I am excited of learning. I'm going to do that in one of my courses, so we'll see how that goes. Now, section 7 is the other section that I thought was more interesting, but more as a reference. Section 7 has these separate different types of things that AI can do, and that lists out specific tools for that use case. So here's ChatGPT, Jasper AI I hadn't heard of. I hadn't heard of Copy.ai, Right Sonic. Of course I've heard of Grammarly. If you're on YouTube, you've heard of Grammarly. Quillbot. Yeah, so this was really cool to go through these different use cases for AI and see the specific tools that are used for that. I use Canva AI, video creation and editing. So these are things that I'm going to use. I should probably learn how to do them because I am not that great at video editing, if you have seen any number of my videos. Voice and audio, etc. So yeah, Section 7 in this article, useful, mostly as a reference. All right, that has been a long time on one article. The next article was quite long, so I tried a new study method. I did what I could to make a kind of a summary of this section, and then I said, all right, this was my summary. How does it match against the article itself? And this was a different type of study method. The output was interesting because um, it clarified what I missed. But at the same time, I think just creating the summary was more useful for me. I prefer the having Gemini summarize a section and then quizzing me on it. Personally, I think that works better for me. Granted, I haven't actually been tested. I haven't, had a final test or whatnot to see if I actually retain the information. So we'll see how that goes. But the news article was also quite useful in the sense that it has the category and the specific AI tool, right? Very useful as a reference. Talks about why it has the specific ones. So I'd recommend taking a look through this if you're interested in a number of different types of AI tools for a variety of use cases. I'd take a look at this article. Now, this last article is how the Associated Press is using artificial intelligence. And if this looks familiar, it's because it is. Last unit, this came up 2 times, so not great for Professor Gemini. The rest of them have been pretty useful, though. Now, the video for this was more of a tutorial on a tool called Poppy.ai. Really useful to create content with your voice, your style, but you can't really evolve as much. Like if you set your tone, your style at the beginning, can't really change that. I'll probably use it when I'm a little more advanced, a little more set in what style, what tone I want. Right now, I'm kind of exploring what I want to do. So I think it'll be useful for later, maybe not right now. Section 2, AI for productivity. Now, as we saw in last unit, the research articles are not always research articles. And that's the case here. Starting here and going forward, I'm only going to read one of the research articles. So I'm going to pick between the two, whichever seems most appropriate for the actual research article, and then go into that. So in that spirit, I'm not going to look at this one. It seems to be more of a page on a school where they're like, we're using AI in this way. So it didn't really seem that useful anyways. Excuse me. Now, this IBM article, I found a little more trusted. I trusted it a little bit more because it's IBM, and they are known for technology. That's what they do. It was an interesting article. Of course, AI is helping us be productive, and it lists out the AI productivity tools. You've seen Grammarly before. You've seen ChatGPT, Claude, etc. So it's cool to go down through these different tools and see how they can help, right? What they can do to help us be more productive. And honestly, what I see productivity as just having more time. So that's nice. The news article was interesting. The news article was fascinating. Apparently, Albania is known for corruption in part of their government, at least. So they made an AI minister, uh, which is fascinating. I think this is quite interesting. Of course, they're skeptical about it, but I think that this marks kind of a shift culturally to where we are trusting AI at least a little bit, right? So that was interesting. Of course, what does this have to do with productivity? Not sure, but it was interesting. This last news article was about Arena AI and how the Arena AI assistant helps you learn the tool, helps you learn Arena. Now, I have a tool at work that I don't know if it's proprietary, um, but it's really annoying to use. So having an AI assistant to learn that tool would be great. So while I don't expect that I will learn Arena using the AI assistant, I do like the way that I do like the direction that this is headed in helping us learn other applications quicker. All right, and then the video for this is a playlist. It's not really a single video, so I didn't go through all of it. But that was the AI for productivity section. Now for coding, coding was interesting. Again, I think I just looked at this first article, I believe. I did the summarizing quiz method for this article, but the overall conclusions I got here is that we need to be smart in how we use AI. This article was a study conducted to test how computer science students use AI and how it would, they sampled students during a class who used AI and what they used it for. Um, they mostly used it for getting started. Oh yeah, they're right here. Okay, great. They used it for creating comments, identifying and correcting bugs, and then seeking information. And I've in one of my side projects that I've been doing, um, I've used Gemini to help me create a first draft of a lot of code. And it's funny because it's AI generated because it's well documented. Um, just kidding. I know there are a lot of programmers out there who document their code well, and Gemini is one of them. Okay, some of the other takeaways from this article: AI is here to stay. The productivity gains are immense. So while it might not overhaul everything the way that some people are talking about, it is going to become necessary to learn. Um, just like email was necessary to learn, the internet was necessary to learn, right? Now, this study did not test critical thinking, so it didn't measure the critical thinking ability of the students before and after. So that's a future study. It's a future study. Now, this next article, I didn't go super deep into it, but beginner coders using AI for vibe coding are messing up big time, and guess who's cashing in by fixing their mistakes? People who actually know how to code. So to me, this shows that we do get productivity gains, but AI can only take us about 80% of the way, if that, and that last 20% needs to be done by somebody who knows what they're talking about. Now, you can become somebody who knows what they're talking about using AI to learn. Um, and it's the bar to learning about computer science and coding is lower than ever before because of AI. So don't let that scare you. Next article is about the GitHub CEO. At GitHub, all employees are going to start using AI. Interesting article. And here it specifies the AI tools are for everybody, not just the coders, right? So interesting. I imagine more CEOs are going to lean that direction. Possibly not quite as heavy-handed, but I think there's going to be some who in that direction. And then in this last news article, GitHub tops the AI coding assistance report with GitHub Copilot. Here's a Gartner chart if you're familiar with Gartner. They do a lot of cool stuff about researching companies, and GitHub is in the leader section of this whole AI coding assistant. So I've liked using Gemini, but it looks like GitHub is topping the industry. I mean, there's a lot of code in GitHub, so I'm not that surprised. I think the best portion of these readings was the video. 37 tips for coding with AI. I found them very, very useful. I'd recommend going into those if you're thinking about coding with AI. Would give it a watch. Now, this last section is AI in other industries. And I'll get into this a little bit, but this became AI in healthcare. Would have preferred a few other industries as well. Healthcare is a good one, though. So let's understand that AI is transforming healthcare in a few ways. Of course, there's the interpreting brain scans, interpreting other diagnoses faster than humans can. Logistics help, detecting back to detection. Chatbots to guide healthcare decisions. A large language model can keep a lot more information in its head at one time than a doctor can. So the doctors can transcribe the discussion with you, and keep that on your file, and then based on those, identify potential problems earlier. And of course, and additionally, there's a section about AI and traditional medicine, where it's not just the modern medicine and all that stuff. There's also the catalog of the indigenous medical text. Yeah, cataloging the indigenous medical texts, getting all the books of like ancient wisdom about medicine together, and processing that a lot quicker. So you can put in some symptoms, and it says, okay, so this is what the Western modern scientists say. This is what the traditional scientists or the traditional medicine said. And you can have your pick of treatment options. So that's interesting. That's cool. This is, you guessed it, not a research article. I talked a little bit about privacy and data security before, and I don't think that is as prevalent anywhere else than it is in the healthcare industry. The healthcare industry has so much personally identifiable information, also known as PII, that the privacy laws, the data security laws around the healthcare industry are a lot more strict than pretty much anywhere else. Maybe the finance industry, but even then, health information is protected a whole lot more than most anywhere else. So this goes through some of the legal frameworks for protecting personally identifiable information and how AI is reflected in that. So a good read and a good reminder that AI, a lot of the risks surrounding AI are with this sensitive data, secure data consideration here. This is another news article about diagnostics. So a lot of stuff in healthcare diagnostics. Again, I would have preferred some other industries and not just healthcare. You'd think that the video saying 24 cutting edge artificial intelligence applications would be a video, but it is not. So that's unfortunate. Now to recap this whole reading section. From the first section, my main takeaway was the experience of trying a different method of studying with Gemini. Also, the library of tools on synthesia.io. Would recommend taking a look at that. But yeah, it was cool practicing a different way to study. That was more experiential. And I am sure that as I become somewhat more familiar with content creation, I will use those tools more to improve my videos. And if you are watching this, I am sure you would go for the same thing. You would want me to do the same thing. The second one, AI for productivity, lessons from the readings. The biggest thing that stood out to me was the Albanian minister, because that was the most interesting. but the articles weren't always relevant. There weren't any research articles, so I didn't feel like there was as many takeaways from the content from the productivity section as there were just kind of interesting points. AI for coding, you got a review. AI is here to stay. The video was really good, so I like probably like the readings most from the coding section, especially that study. I didn't know that they had studied using AI in like a computer science classroom, so that was cool. And finally, AI in other industries. Lots of cool AI stuff is happening with healthcare, but of course, I would have preferred some other industries as well. So clarifying and working with Gemini, right? This was essentially the first output that I got, and the output would have been better if I had worked with it a bit. Said, hey, can you do this instead? Can you do that instead? So now each of these sections could be a course in and of themselves, and I think I will make them a course for themselves. Um, AI for content creation, I expect will improve the quality of my video creation. AI for productivity, I expect will improve the amount of videos I can make. AI in coding will help me with the automation and the other projects that I have going on. Um, I am particularly in the audit and financial services industry. So for AI in other industries, I'd probably focus on the audit or financial services. How I can use those there to make it more relevant for me, at least. You might be bored, but if you're watching this, you're probably bored anyways. Other than that, there's a lot of the same themes. Make sure you review the output. You always always review. The more detailed mental energy you exert at the beginning, the better leverage that you'll get. And I wanted to take just a moment on that concept of AI as a tool that leverages your effort, leverages your intelligence. I think in the industry that I'm in, right? There's a lot of business dudes who use the word leverage a lot, and I think it gets overused. So I wanted to talk a bit about what that actually means. Think of a lever, right? Just a standard lever. Um, I can't remember who it was, but they said that if you have a lever long enough, you can move the world, and that's true. A lever is a tool that allows you to use a small amount of force on one end to lift something heavy on the other. So if you have a long lever and you have the fulcrum towards the heavy thing, so that your end of the lever is longer, you can push down a little bit on your end and it moves. The force on the other end is a lot greater, right? Now, the more input force you apply, the greater the magnitude of the output force. If you put little or no effort in, there's going to be little or no effort on the other side. Look at it this way: if a lever multiplies the amount of force you do by two, right? It doubles it, and you push down on your end with 1 unit of force. If you're a physicist, please forgive me. I'm not going to use the proper terminology. But let's say you push down with 1 unit of force on your end. That means that the resulting output on the other end is 2, right? You have increased your force from 1 to 2. Now let's say you increase your input from 1 to 10. The output goes from 2 to 20, right? So previously, when you had put a little bit in, you got a little bit more out. And the difference was 1, right? You got one more than you put in. If you put in 10, you get 10 more than you put in. So the more you put in, the more you get out. But if you put in 0, it doesn't matter how powerful the lever is, it's still not going to work. And it's the same with AI. I don't quite know the numeric multiplier that AI is like a leverage tool. But I think it's more than 2. We'll see. We'll see how history plays this out. But if you put in a lot of effort with AI, you will get a whole lot more out than if you put a little or no effort in. So that's my challenge to you. Start working with AI. Start becoming familiar with it so that you can put more input effort in and get more out of it when you do. I'm going to keep doing it. If you want to come along for the ride, you're welcome. I'm excited. I think I'll keep learning a lot. I've enjoyed it so far. So we'll see where it goes. Thanks.